northeast jet stream like combine over the western Pennsylvania, you just get some weird, wacky weather.
You do, and it's really funny. Like a lot of times, you'll see the weather map in the winter, and you'll see like north of I-80, they just get dumped on. Like Buffalo, Erie, there's just tons and tons of snow, and then you see it coming over from Ohio, and it seems to just bypass Pittsburgh. They say it's because of its valleys, and I don't know what it is, but
yeah, it's weird.
Just bypass Pittsburgh. We don't get much snow here at all.
It was never like bad weather for snow. It was just always in the winter. It was like 20 to 40 degrees and just gray.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
So, I think was the Dow pretty flat today?
Dow was pretty flat. Ended up down. All three exchanges ended up down. Not like I think S&P was down maybe 6.
Yeah.
Dow was down maybe 30 or 40. Yeah, it was pretty flat today. I mean, NASDAQ ended up down like in the teens, maybe 20, something like that. So just a little bit down, but nothing dramatic.
Did you see since we last spoke, the Justice Department cut a deal with Binance?
I did not see that. I don't really watch the news that much. So fill us in.
So Binance is the largest crypto exchange in the world, most of which is done outside the United States, but they're the largest by trading volume in the world. And CZ, who's their CEO and founder, is, I don't want to say he's a psycho, but he's out there. Let's put it that way. They came to a decision, and he agreed to plead guilty to different SEC violations to the tune of a $4 billion fine.
Yeah, I saw that.
And he agreed to step down as CEO from the company. And the U.S. is saying they won't let him. He was actually brought to trial in Seattle, of all places. And the U.S. government is saying they won't let him out of the country. He wants to go back to Dubai, I believe. They won't let him out of the country until he's sentenced.
Yeah, I saw he was claiming some of his family was sick and he wanted to go back and see them. And
yeah, but the interesting thing, Scott, is that people are saying this is a very good thing for the crypto industry because it is the largest exchange coming to an agreement with the U.S. government, which obviously has tremendous concerns because CZ is Chinese and a lot of their investing dollars are outside the U.S. And they're saying this is actually a very good thing for the industry, for the largest exchange to agree to this and be held to a 5-year audit by the SEC from a regulatory perspective.
Yeah, well, from my understanding, which is limited, but my understanding was that, one of the things that they were claiming, was that there was terrorist financing through crypto. There were, terrorist financing. There were banking, severe banking irregularities, drug financing. Right. So I agree. I think this is going to be a positive development.
I think it's a good thing. I really do. I don't use Binance for a number of reasons. One of which is most of it's offshore, and I'm a Coinbase fan. I like the fact that Coinbase is a public company. I like the fact they have to go through audits every year as a public company. I think that it doesn't give me comfort, but it makes me feel more comfortable than some of the other exchanges because they have more scrutiny, and they've been that way since day one.
Yeah, I bought some crypto through Binance. Some crypto that I couldn't get on some of the other exchanges.
Right.
And I'm still holding some crypto on Binance. Not, nothing substantial or anything.
I think it's good for the industry. I think it's just one more checkpoint of getting the ducks in a row to allow this industry to continue in a more, I wouldn't say regulated fashion, but in a more traditional fashion.
Yeah, I think crypto has to fall in line at some point,
If you want these ETFs approved and you want pension funds and major corporations to put it on their balance sheet, I think they have to be given some level of comfort that if they buy $1 million or $2 million in crypto, that it's going to be safe.
Right.
I think that's the major thing. People think this is about custody and about, your keys, your coins. It's really about people saying, if I give you money to buy these coins, I expect you to keep them safe. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all. Yeah. I think that's actually a pretty fair.
Well, I think it's fair too.
I think it's a pretty fair ask. If I give you money, I expect that to be safe.
The U.S. has lived, at least since the Depression, with a level of comfort and safety that if they put their money in a bank, it's going to be okay. I mean, the bank
Correct.
is, FDIC is going to it's going to back it up, and it's a pretty safe place. You're not
Did I
going to
ever tell you my 2008 banking story?
no.
So for those, well, I think everybody in this call was around in 2008 when the last recession hit, a big recession and the banking crisis. So there was a weekend. I was working for Comcast at the time. Comcast was one of the top 10 biggest companies in the United States at the time, along with Microsoft, Apple. Tesla wasn't even around at this point. And the banking crisis got so bad. And this guy named Michael Angelakis was the former CFO of Comcast. He was in talking to a group of executives at the company on a talk, and people were talking about what was going on with the banking crisis. This was after it had happened, but he was telling the story. And we said, Michael, how bad did it get in your mind? He said, this is how bad it got. He said, there was a weekend in 2008 when Bank of America, when the top three banks, including Bank of America, were going to go under that weekend if the government didn't float a loan. So the federal government got the top 10 U.S. corporations, Comcast being one of them, on a call and said, if needed, we need each of you to float $1 billion in cash to cover these major banks. So combined, it would be $10 billion to float their notes so they don't default over the weekend. Because if that happens, we'll have another, basically what happened in 1930, a crash. I'm like, that's, and then by Monday, they made their notes and they never had to call it and they never had to do this. But that's how bad it got in 2008. That's fucking nuts.
Well, I mean, it's historically
gang shit.
consistent. I mean, I think it happened almost in the Depression. It happened in the 1890s, I think. I mean, I think one of the barons of industry in New York went in and wrote a personal check and like saved the whole banking industry back in the.
How about the fact that I mean, it wasn't that long ago, Scott. In 2008,
no,
the difference between the U.S. banking system collapsing over a weekend is let's get a conference call with 10 dudes.
What's up?
That's pretty crazy.
That's pretty crazy.
Now, since then, the banking system has been very come under scrutiny. There's been a ton more laws passed to prevent stuff like this from happening, which is why some of the regional banks went under and weren't allowed to take bad debt. But that's nuts.
Well, there was a lot of. I mean, look, we can go on in this thread, but I mean, in the 2010, 2011, there were small towns where you had 50% of the homes were empty.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a mess.
It was. You're absolutely right.
And yeah, you can say it's a mess now with with the cost of real estate and and the homeless problem, and it is, but you got to be a little bit historically aware because it was really a mess back then.
No Mr. Triplet tonight.
No,
that doesn't happen often.
Oh, here he is.
Yeah.
Here he is.
And he literally shows up on cue.
Right.
That's pretty funny. Mr. Triplet, he literally just said, no Mr. Triplet tonight. Isn't that amazing that he didn't show up tonight? And there you are.
There he is.
Like one of those ESPN things. You thought it and it just happened.
So let's call to order here. First of all, thank you all for being here. There probably were a couple people who tried to jump on right at the end of the session last week who we ran out of time. So if you want to come up stage, press the middle button where it says raise hand. We'll bring you up. We can talk about whatever you'd like to talk about. You can give a pitch. You can talk about some of the.
I want to change this.
Sorry.
Scott just left accidentally. He'll be back. Let's bring up Hush. Let me just get him up on stage.
Okay, well, I'm going to need to go. My dashboard.
Hey there. Thanks for being with us. I think you're on mute, so you unclick the mute button. See if we can get you unmuted. You're still on mute, Hush Inc.
I mean, it's way too late, but whatever. It's fine. I also just like double doxed myself with my
We haven't gotten
location.
Scott back yet. Interesting.
Rip, rip.
All right.
Oh, finally I was able to.
There you
Hi.
go. How you doing, man?
Good, good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for joining us. Where are you calling in from?
I'm from Los Angeles. Let me turn my camera on. Sorry.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm new to this controls here. So yeah, I had to permit my browser to connect and everything. So yeah.
No problem. No
Hi.
problem. Welcome.
So yeah, I'm from Los Angeles. I'm the founder of Hush. It's an anonymous social media platform. And that's what I wanted to like talk about, practice my pitch, because I saw that's like part of the agenda. So I thought this would be a good platform for that, as we are in
Let's
the
check it out,
process
man.
of fundraising our pre-seed round right now with a couple of investors, and then subsequently, a couple of months down the
Is this
line,
Whisper?
we are planning for a seed round.
Awesome. So do you have a deck you'd like to share? We're happy to take a look.
Yes.
There's down
Yes.
in the middle, you'll see a start share button, and try to keep it to 3-4 minutes just to give us a general idea of what you're building and what it looks like. And Scott and I are happy to give you some comments about what we see, because we see a lot of these decks.
That would be awesome. Thank you. Let me pull it up on the screen.
Yeah, this is literally
me
just a
check
Whisper
here.
clone. I don't know how this guy's getting funding.
And this is the pitch deck. Okay. Got. And
I
let
don't
me
know.
share the
I
screen.
I guess I won't question the motivation of
I can
venture
share
capital,
my
but
window or entire
apparently I
screen.
can just
Okay, I
like
can share the
Control C,
entire
Control
screen.
V something and ask for a couple mil.
Oh, I need to click on this. Okay, it's similar to Zoom.
Yep, there you
Yeah,
go.
please
Perfect.
let me
We
know
can
when
see it
you
now.
can see my
Yep, we can.
for the pitch deck to pop up. It's in the verifying mode.
Nice.
Okay.
We call
Yeah,
this load
okay, here
balancing,
it
ladies
is.
and gentlemen. I think. I'm actually a cloudlet,
Please
so
let
I
me
don't
know
know.
when you guys can see my screen and the deck on it.
All
I
good.
guess I
got it.
should say lady and or
Okay,
gentlemen.
awesome. So
There is
hi,
only one of you.
as I was saying, so Hush is an anonymous
But
social
I
media
appreciate you
platform
deeply.
for unfiltered expression. And why did we came up with this idea? Why this particular problem that we are trying to solve? So the reason for that is the current status of the public social media, where like most of the people are afraid to say something, like they have a question on their mind, they have something, share something private, or they have like an opposing opinion to a popular trend. But more often than not, they will not post then on their public social media for the fear of being judged and ridiculed by their family, friends, co-workers, because these are the people usually who are added to their public social media. And then there could be like job related repercussions and other repercussions in the social life. Then again, there is the rise of influencer culture because of public social media. People are trying to do all sort of stupid pranks. Recently, a YouTuber got shot while doing such a prank. And like obviously, like it gives rise to a lot of mental health issues in the race to try to get as
Gosh.
many followers as you
One
can,
viewer.
and
Okay,
comparing
10
with other
followers. Okay.
influencers and all. So to avoid all of these problems, we thought an anonymous social media platform where you can actually speak your mind could be better. So that's where Hush was born. So Hush lets you express yourself freely because you are completely anonymous to every other user on the platform. Creating a profile is optional. You can provide your age range, gender, location, but that is completely optional. There are no email based sign in. There is no phone number requirement, nothing, no identifying features that you need to provide. And so you can just download the app and you can start using it. You can share via post. You can directly chat with the posters or those who are replying to the posts. You can connect via groups globally or locally. We have a local tab also, which allows you to connect with people from 5 mile to 50-mile radius. And obviously, like you can have a in-depth discussion because you are not afraid of the repercussions for having an opposing views on like to the popular media. So where we are, so we launched about 8 months ago, and since then we are
Yeah, I
now
don't know
at
why I'm on light mode.
52,000 users
Sorry,
without any
everybody.
paid marketing so far. We are on iOS and Android, and our web browser version is coming very soon. And as in terms of activity, as you can see, there is a lot going on the platform, including nearly 3 million lines of chat messages exchanged between the users. Now, all this is fine, but the key question will be, are we making any money? So the answer is yes. We have been generating revenue through digital ads. That's our
Ow.
first stream of revenue. And as a secondary stream of revenue, we have already started to implement a freemium based business model. And as the user volume keeps growing, we have several other revenue models planned, which have been proven in the past, but they will be deployed at a scale. Now, what we are targeting in terms of a goal is a very realistic goal based on what has been achieved in the past, what new tools we have at our disposal, and the new markets that we have been trying that the previous apps didn't try for. So that's where we have this goal of getting to 50 million MAU in 3 years, which will give us at the current revenue generation rate of the eCPM that we have, this 40 up to 40 million annual gross revenue from ads alone. Because we are hoping at this scale, we will be able to bring in other revenue streams
It's
for
not a
which we have
bad,
not estimated yet.
it's
Now,
not
a
a
quick
bad
look into
pitch
the
deck though.
team. So I'm Amit Sikdar. My co-founder is Amit Mishra, and we both have years of experience in machine learning, in software engineering for big companies like Fox, Viking Cruises, NBC, and all. I had a previous exit in India where I had a knowledge process outsourcing firm, which I sold to my partners before moving to US. And we are in the process of raising funds, like I mentioned, for 500,000 in form of post money safe to reach a goal of 1 million plus monthly active user, which should start generating a revenue of nearly $40,000 per month by the end of next year. Thank you.
Awesome. You can click off. You can stop sharing now, so we
Oh,
can
yeah,
chat a
I
little bit.
can. Yeah.
Scott, what do you think, man?
Well, first of all, thank you for getting up. Thank you for having the courage to share that with us. And congratulations. I mean, you got something that is it's moving, it's going. I would say some of my comments. Number one, I think you ran about 4.5 minutes, which is pretty good. I mean, you obviously have a very you have a very tight understanding of what you're doing. You communicated very well. I thought the pitch, I thought the deck itself is well done. Try and keep it to about 3 minutes. That's what really keeps people's interest. One of my comments was, you mentioned that you were at revenue, but you didn't really tell us what type of revenue you're at this point, which I think that's a pretty important
Yeah.
thing to share. So, I wasn't really clear from the pitch whether, you're going to stay at a premium type of model, or at some point do you want to start charging the users? That wasn't really clear. Just make it as far as the advertising. And, other than that, the product itself, I just have some concerns about the product itself. And those being that when people are given, are given the opportunity to speak and express themselves without people knowing who they are, you get some pretty evil and vile stuff out there. And
yes,
and we are in a time of our history where that's probably the last thing we need. So I don't know if you have people monitoring this, if you have people who can get that stuff off there quickly. That's one of my concerns, and I'll turn it over to Steve on that after that.
Cool. It's good feedback, Scott. So first of all, and your name again? I'm sorry.
Amit.
Amit. So first of all, to echo what Scott said, thank you for having the courage to do this. It's not easy getting up in front of a group of strangers. And congratulations on your progress to date. We get a lot of people that come in here that talk about what they want to build and what they need money to build. I think you came in tonight saying, no, here's what I've built. And this money is to accelerate that growth. That's a very different position to be in. So congratulations. 50,000 users is nothing to sneeze at. That's significant. I think that you have a path to monetization and you're already monetizing. That's significant. I think all too often, especially when you have D2C applications, everybody wants to be the next Facebook and sort of take that. We'll worry about making money later. We'll worry about monetizing later. I think we live in a world right now, especially as it pertains to startups and investing,
Hard agree.
where you need to figure out a monetization path sooner as opposed to later, because there's too much noise out there. Candidly, everybody's willing to use anything when it's free. The question is, what happens when you throw a premium subscription or premium options in there? Then what's your conversion rate? Couple things I liked. I liked the fact that you had a very clear overview of what you do and why it's important, and the impact of being anonymous, whether it's good or bad. To Scott's point, why people want to feel comfortable in expressing themselves. I think you did a really good job of outlining that.
I know what a bucket is.
I think you did a good job of outlining the traction on users.
Before,
what I didn't see, and just something to consider, you didn't really have a path to say we went from here to here. We went from launching on this date to 50,000 users, and it's growing 20% month over month, and the revenue is growing X% month over month. It's always, Scott always says, dumb it down for guys like us. I think what we like to see as investors is I like to see that it's not only growing, it's growing faster today than it was 6 months ago, that there's a virality to it, that you talked about monthly actives. I really like the way you showed your total user base, but then you showed that 20% of your total user base is monthly actives. That's really key when it comes to applications. And I think a lot of people are afraid to show that number. I think it's a good thing that you did. It shows me that your product has stickiness and that people are coming back to it. So I think you did a very good job of outlining your value proposition, how you get there, and where you are. I think you could use more detail around how fast it's growing, what's the cost for you to get a user. It's great that it's organic, but it won't always be free. I always say you can get to 100,000 users for free, but sooner or later, that's not a long-term marketing strategy. So what do you think your CAC's going to be over time as it relates CAC to LTV, long-term value of that customer? And also in your ask section, I know you're raising 500,000 and I know it's going to be on a safe. You weren't real clear on what the valuation is, but more importantly, you weren't really clear on what this gets us to next. 500,000 gets us from 50,000 subscribers to 5 million subscribers, which is this in revenue, and then we'll kick off our A round. We always like to see as investors a clear path to, if you get this money, what does it get you from and to, and then what does it get me as an investor? I think that would be my feedback. I hope that's helpful.
So can I ask a couple of counter questions?
Please.
So just to first, I would like to if you give me 1 minute, I would like to answer a few questions that you both raised. And thank you so much for the feedback. It's very helpful. I've been noting down a couple of things to make further round of modifications. So one part was to Scott's question. Yes, we have a moderation team as a first layer of moderation. I'm from machine learning background, so we have implemented machine learning model as a first level of content moderation. As a second level of content moderation, we have human moderators. And as a third level of content moderation, we have allowed our users to become moderator for the group similar to Reddit, so that they can moderate and flag a specific post in the group. So yes, we have been dealing with occasional onslaught of mischievous elements, as you pointed out, because of the anonymity, and we have been dealing very successfully with that so far. Second part was around Steve, your question about pointing out the growth in the MRR. So since we have been developing organically, our growth have been kind of up and down. So how do you suggest we showcase that one?
Growth is never a linear line. It never goes up and to the right like everybody thinks, like a ski slope. It's always going to be this. But what you can do is you can show the ebbs and flows and just put inflection points, 0, 5,000, 10,000, and show how long it takes. The real question is not that your growth's going to have ebbs and flows. It's how long did it take you to get to 50,000? If it took 6 months, that's really good. If it took 6 years, that's a problem. I think that's really what we're talking about. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would. And I think part of the other part of it was, and this is just me personally, I always like to see, granularly, what the use of funds is going to be. Like, okay, you want $500,000. How are you going to spend it? What is it? What is that going to buy for you? Steve said, yeah, where's it going to get you? Which I think is equally, if not more important. But what are you going to spend that on?
So
And-
I had a basic chart there, but from the granular perspective, let's say when I'm presenting on a public forum, should I include that level of detail there, or should I reserve that for further discussion in a more one-to-one fashion with the investors?
That's a really good question. I mean, when I've been talking to other founders, what I tell them to do is make an appendix. You don't have to keep it as part of your pitch, but if someone asks about it, you can move. It opens up some discussion, and you can move to your appendix.
Okay, got it. No,
Yeah.
such same point like for Steve also, like in terms of like the MRR numbers and all. Like I have those numbers handy, but I wasn't sure on a public platform, should I disclose those numbers, or those numbers are more private discussion numbers. But to the
I always like it in the deck, and it doesn't have to be, down to the penny, but you could have a single slide, and what it could show. I always like it like this. Scott, I'd love your take. I like a slide that has users, a graph of users, and a graph of CAC to LTV, and it shows me how fast or how long are my users growing, what's happening to revenue, and what's happening to cost to acquire a customer. I always like to see, as users and revenue are going up and cost to acquire a customer is going down, you don't have to tell me shit. I can figure that out in 2 seconds from looking at that graph and go, this is a business I want to talk to. So I think sometimes founders are like, I don't want to divulge too much. There's no such thing as secrets when you're raising money at a startup. In fact, I would argue you want as many people to see your information as possible, because you never know who it's going to click with.
Hard agree.
You never know who it's going to
People are
resonate
always
with.
like,
But I would
"Oh,
just keep
I
it
have my secret-
very high level.
my
And
secret
I always
plan.
like graphs that show me users,
secret
revenue,
idea.
and then
So,
cost to acquire.
Dude,
Those
like,
are three
nobody
metrics
cares.
that, regardless of
Nobody's
type
gonna
of
steal your
company,
shit. If
industry,
they
or
do, great.
stage,
Just do it better
I
than
think,
them.
Scott, would you agree every investor is going to care about those metrics?
I would think so. I mean, any
Yeah.
serious investor, yeah.
Yeah.
got it. Okay,
And where are
thank
you
you.
with the round right
Yeah.
now? So you've got you're raising 500. Where are you right now?
So right now, 3 investors from India, they have been interested. So we are in talks with them. So that's where my last question was, to the point of, like I mentioned, that we are trying to raise it in the form of post-safe, but I didn't include the discount rate. I didn't include the valuation cap, because that's again, like I wasn't sure whether I should include that for a public forum event, or I should keep it for a private discussion. So like, should I include that directly in every presentation that I do?
I think every investor is going to have that question if
Oh,
they're
how's
serious.
it
So
going,
I think the
Yikes?
sooner you get it out there, the better, especially if
Let's see,
given your
let me,
traction, it's a very,
turn my thing down
I
so I
think
can
that
hear
could be a
you.
good thing for you. Are you just a quick question? Are you a Indian Corp
Let's
or a
see.
Delaware Corp?
Delaware.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
The reason was I was hesitant was because
that? Oh, it's
like
Chromie. What's
that
going on, buddy?
valuation cap can be
I
like
figured I'd
open to
jump in for a
discussion.
few
Like
minutes
let's
while
say
I'm
I
having a
say that,
smoke
okay,
some
I want
coffee.
like a 15 million. You will say no, 10 million is more
See,
realistic,
how
right?
am I
So
gonna
that
do
is
this?
open to discussion. So I
Now that
don't
we've
want to like scare
gloriously
someone one by
succeeded in
putting
killing
a
Gatto because it
definitive
was
number up
stupid.
there.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
As it
Sometimes
is.
founders
Okay,
say
so then
the
that
round's
can
just
go
starting.
maybe
We want to
there.
see what the market will bear and what the
Maybe
marketplace
like
tells us is
this.
reasonable. If you
No,
have an
that's the wrong
opinion,
thing.
happy to chat about it. Relative
Does
to
this
your
have
involvement,
a,
because some people would say, "Hey, if this was at 5 million,
Damn,
I'd love
they
it,
don't
but at
have, like,
15
a,
million, it's a no way type thing." I'll use a good
transcription
example.
captioning thing. Remind me to pitch them on this.
All of the deals I'm looking at right now, and it honestly,
Okay, volume mixer.
I wouldn't. I'm not looking at any deals above
Go
$10
down
million
like that.
right now. And the reason is there's just too many companies out there under
Yep.
$10 million
What have you been up
that
to?
have tremendous traction. And I don't mean like
Not much. I
companies
listened to
that
a
have
bunch
5
of
or
Alan
10,000 a
Watts
month.
last
I
night
have
and
companies
just
I'm talking to
relaxed
that'll
and
do
went for
$2
a
million
walk and shit.
this year in revenue
Sounds
that are
like a
raising
party.
at $6 and $8 million valuations.
Yeah,
So when
been
I get
relaxing a
someone that says, "Hey,
bunch.
we're
Did a tarot
pre-revenue,
card
we
with
just
my
launched,"
GPT
but
tarot
they want
card
a $10 million
reader. It was really
valuation,
like
like there's
it's
no
really
way.
on the themes like
So,
of
but
leaving
that's just
stuff
one man's
behind to
opinion.
become the
Again,
person
as
you're
Scott
meant
will
to
tell
be. And
you,
like giving up the
valuations,
comforts that
you
you
know,
thought that mattered when you were
like
young.
opinions. Everybody's
So I
got
feel
one. It
like
just
I'm really
depends
on
upon
this
who you're talking
huge
to. It also
precipice of
depends
just
upon
like
location. You're
stopping
in Los
pushing and
Angeles. I
letting
think the
go and just
mentality on
starting to let
valuation
shit
is
flow
very
instead.
different on the West
Yeah,
Coast
Trying
than
to
you'll
make
find
stuff
where
happen.
that
Scott
is
is
certainly
in
an
Pittsburgh
approach to
or even where I am on the
approach to
East
take,
Coast.
I think.
Okay, got
Well, and like
it. Okay,
having like
thank
your
you.
buddy
Thank you
Nick
so much for
like
the
jump
feedback.
in
Yeah.
That's
the other
awesome, man.
night and be
Keep
like,
building,
"Man,
man.
you
This is
are a
great. You did
really
a great
good
job. Thank you for
orator.
coming.
Dude,
Like,
Thank you.
why are you not already a
Congratulations.
podcaster? Do you not have something?"
You know,
Which
it's
is also pretty
interesting because
really
I'm
inspiring, right?
always
So I've been
Well,
I
there
was
you
working
hard
go.
on
towards all
user
this for
funds,
so long, but
and
like it
you
also
know,
means there's going to be some big fucking
I've talked to several
sacrifices in the next
accountants
year.
over the who work with startups,
Yeah, you know,
and they tell me,
it's
I dig in sometimes,
one of those things
to
that's
their
like a put in the work
their
type
finances,
situation, pretty much.
and I find
Well,
these
it's not
guys
even
that spend
that. It's
$50,000 or
like
$75,000 in a
like I can
year,
go to school on my
know,
own cost
going out to
without
lunch,
anybody funding
going out to
me, but
dinner,
it means I have to
bringing
make like a
food in,
shit ton of sacrifices. So it's
and
like
they're like,
literally
first
like
of all, I don't
almost
know where
no
to put
spending
that,
until May.
but second of
So,
all,
Oh yeah,
you know,
I mean,
but
they
like
don't
to
know where to
even
put
be
it
able
on
to
the
like
balance sheet.
to be able to
second
like
of all,
have enough
it's like,
money to like say like
if they
I
have
can
to
go
go
do a
back and tell their
$20,000 fucking
investors
training
that they've
course out of
spent
my own pocket without student
$75,000 of
loans
money
is
that they've
actually
put in
pretty decent.
to
So
put into their stomachs,
so that's like my
they'd
backup
be pretty
plan if I
upset.
don't make any money from
Yeah,
AI.
no, I'm
It's
with you,
just
Scott.
so
I
much
think understanding use
fucking
of funds
you know,
can always
like your
be
guys were saying last night, right? Setting
important.
up your fucking
And
environment's the
it's
worst
also a
part of the
balance.
job.
You know, when you see
yeah.
when I see a use of funds and the pie,
There's
a lot of people use pie
this
charts to
guy,
show
this
it.
guy that just
And
got done pitching,
80%
literally just made a clone
versus
of
the
Whisper,
product or
and
growth
he's
or
going for a
customers,
seed round
customer acquisition.
right now,
You know, it
because
could be a
people are
concern
paying
as
for
well.
it, which is
Well,
wild to me. So you
I
can
would
just
take it
literally like
further.
clone something and
When I
then
see it,
get
they
funding,
say
and if you can
50 or
get
60%
customers,
go to
like whatever you can get
marketing.
people to pay for. And
That's a red flag for me too.
It's very
Okay,
interesting.
marketing. What does that mean? Where are you going to spend that? Or
See, part of the reason I like
well,
the
we're gonna
fact
hire
that we
a
got
salesperson.
Gatto
Okay,
like
well, how much is
killed
that
off now
gonna
as a
cost?
safety group
And
and is just
Sure.
like
how
we're
do
a
you know
build
you're going to get a
community.
good salesperson?
Is
How are
that
you gonna
like
train them?
it's actually really nice to know
Those
like
are all big
with
red
all the like
flags for me,
clusterfuckery of life
yeah,
that like
and
we can
I
all kind of
encourage
just like
people
look
whenever I
around
do
this
it,
time of
to
night,
actually
like
get
dinnerish
name
hour in
and
North
place.
America, and be like, who's on
Hey,
and
hire a
which
salesman.
server working on
Put the
something.
name of the guy in there.
Because
Scott,
that way, at
probably
least,
one
like,
of
if
the
your whole
tighter
life is
pitches we've seen
clusterfucked,
in a
you know the
while.
community does
He was
build
very,
hour
he was very
around
clear,
dinner hour. You can kind
very
of just be like,
well,
fuck it,
expressed
I'm gonna like
himself very
half-ass my
well,
shit tonight,
good
and
slides,
the same rules of
very
working out apply.
expressive,
Sometimes you show up to
and
half-ass something, and
you really had a
you end up putting in
confidence
more
where
effort
he
on
was
a night you
going, and
plan to
I
half-ass than
agree.
a day you plan to work
I
hard.
had a pitch today with a founder who I got introduced to.
yeah,
Part-time
I think it
founder,
depends on
and is building a tech company.
you know,
and,
you know,
basically
it's
has the product
it's
ready,
pretty
the
much hit or
software
miss
product,
like
it's
that for
launched,
me,
but he's
where it's
just
like
starting to get his first pilot customers.
seems to be
He's
sort of
got his
random when I
revenue
actually
model,
get shit
but
done
hasn't
and when I don't.
validated it yet. He's just getting into the market.
Yep.
And wanted to raise $1 million, and I took him down the path.
That's all
of,
about what learning about
first of all,
consistency
you're
to
about
actually
if
be in
you're
those
launching this, we
resting
call it.
states where you can
You are
flow more
you are
instead of trying
coming
to
out of
push
the
it
worst
about.
time of the year to raise.
Mhm.
After
to
finding
get to
Atomic
investors.
Habits last year, I
Nobody's
was
gonna
kind of
raise
like,
rich
holy
yet.
fuck.
You haven't
Like
validated
slowly but surely.
pricing. You haven't
Hmm?
validated the
That's
product
a good
yet.
book.
How long is
This
it going
one,
to take
I
you to
was
do this? How
actually
long is it going
one
to take
of
you to
the
get your
ones
first, couple
that I was
hundred
reading
customers
actually
in
when I
your first 5 or
first
10K in revenue?
started
So
getting
Steve,
on
it'll
the
take me
Obsidian
60
thing.
days. I'm
Actually,
like, then I
just
would
taking
wait till
notes on that.
February
It was helpful.
and come back to me when you have that first data point of 5 or 10,000 in revenue and these customers, and we'll put together around then.
Yeah, I just found it
And
last
he's
year,
got
so
a
I feel like
consulting
it's only
business
really
that
just
he's
starting to
also
sink in
developed into a
now.
6-figure business. I said, if you can use that to bootstrap me
Yeah.
another couple months, I would not raise right now. But the good news is, he actually took the advice. He's like,
Unfortunately, I
is
didn't
great.
find
Why
it back
hasn't
when it
anyone
first
else been
came
this
out. It
candid?
was
I'm
like
like,
the book I
I
needed
don't
my
know. It's
entire
like it's
fucking
weird
life.
in our industry when
It was
nobody
like
wants to
I
tell
was
you
so
the truth
close to
that
doing
you're
so many of
not
those
ready,
things
or it's too big
already,
around, or
or like
don't
was
raise
already
right
doing
now.
like
But I said, look, I'm
75% of
just
the
trying to
book at the
save you the
times in my
heartache of
life when I
having
was most
200
productive,
conversations,
but I
and
was
every
never
single one of
conscious
them
of any of that
passes, but
stuff.
they don't tell
So
you why.
like
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
fully understand why I was more
So
successful
I
than
think
other
we need more
people.
of that, not less. Which is why
So like
things like
when I
this,
read read the
for
book,
fun.
it like I was
It
like, oh,
helps
so much
them.
of this is shit I like used to do
Couldn't agree
naturally,
more. I
but
mean,
didn't
you know,
know
it's
why or
funny.
didn't
I
put
mean,
together fully in the same way. So now
when
it's
I'm in
like, fuck it.
Colorado, this forum
Did
goes
you,
from 6 o'clock to 7
I mean,
o'clock
did you
Monday,
start doing
which is
it
pretty manageable.
intentionally after that?
When I'm on the East Coast, like
Oh,
the other
yeah,
day,
a
8
whole
o'clock
bunch
to
of it.
9 o'clock,
Nice.
which
Although
by the day I
I
get
also
kinda
like fucked
tired
up my
out.
ankle
yeah,
last
you're
year
cooked.
and
This
like
is like my
hurt my ear a
7th meeting
bunch. So like
today.
I was on
Oh yeah,
bed
this
rest
is
for like
my
6
I
months.
think
So
8th or
like
10th,
Yeah.
but
wasn't really
but you know
applying
what?
it for a lot of the year.
I get energized. I really enjoy.
Yeah,
coming
I
on
like
here
there's like a
doing this
few
and
parts of it that
seeing
stuck with
people like
me.
how it
And like I was trying to implement them, but it
I
didn't
love seeing
didn't
the
really.
ideas
I
and the
don't have the space
enthusiasm.
to do it.
It's really
Like I would,
it's very
I do.
it's a
Ideally,
wonderful thing. It really is.
I want to have a fun,
Totally
a
agree.
fun
But
computer
and
and
it's
then
fun, man. I get to spend time with you, and we do
a
some
fun
good work
space and then a
together. And
workspace and separate
hopefully,
them.
along the way, we help some folks think through some
I don't-
things they
I
haven't
don't have
thought
enough
of
space,
because
and I don't have the
guys like
other
us
machine
may
I
have been down this
like,
Oh,
road
dude,
before
won't-
with
you
other
know
founders,
what?
and
You know what
there's
I
stuff to
found
be learned.
ironically even works really good for
So,
that though is
Um,
because you know how the brain
on a
does like
personal note,
jumping for like
um,
visual section and processing, like
somebody
when
I
you
work
switch
with,
rooms, you
who
tend
I
to forget
think
what you were
you know who
thinking
it is.
about wanting to go
I
do.
guess you're involved with the Minnesota Twins Accelerator.
Like, you know that
I
feature
am.
in the
So
brain?
it was so funny.
With what? Sorry?
Yeah, I'm a mentor. I'm one of the mentors.
Well, the way the
for-
brain works,
as
like
you know, I
visual
mentor for the
processing, right?
Boston
It like tends to
Accelerator,
like jump
and the
clear or
managing director
whatever.
of Boston,
Like say you're
knows me
thinking
as
about
the
going to do
director
something in a
of
room and you like walk into the room and
Minneapolis,
then
and she pinged me and
your
said,
your
"Hey,
brain
I got your
basically
name
loads
from
the image of the
Freddie
room when it looks at
Levy."
it, and that
She says
overloads
great
your
things
memory
about you.
circuit
She says you
on
do
like
well
what
in
you wanted to go
sports tech. Is
do.
there any way
You can
consider
kind of like
also mentoring
hack
for
that
us? I'm like,
feature,
sure, why not?
and
I
it's
love
like
Techstars. So we did a
um
kickoff call
I
last
have like a
week, and
big
your
piece of like
guy,
art from like a
he's like, "Don't
festival
you
on the
remember
like
me?" And I'm
opposite
like,
wall
"Of
from
course."
my
Like
computer.
I had
So
12
like I'll put my weights
founders
on my
pitch me that
computer
day, and
desk,
I'm
but
like,
instead of looking
I'm
at
like,
the
and he's
computer
like,
screen,
"Investor
I'll
after
like turn
hours
around
starts,"
and I'll
but
like
he's
look at
really
this big
animated.
crazy like
He's
triangle
such a
thing on the
good guy.
wall
Funny.
while I'm
He's
lifting
such a great
weights.
guy.
So like
Yeah,
I'm in the
so
same
he
spot
pitched
because I
me,
don't
he
have
gave
the
me his
room,
pitch,
but I'm
and then
kind of
we
like
went to
visually
actually give
hacking
me
my
his pitch
brain to think it's
before,
in a different
and we
spot, a
talked
different
about
workstation,
promo
like
share,
from
right?
the
That's
book.
it, right?
Yeah.
Promo share.
Sure,
And
yeah,
he mentioned,
I could
I
see
did
it.
not know you were an investor in the
It's
company.
like, yeah, I'd love to have the
This is
space
great.
for everything
Yeah.
like that too.
And
But
now
yeah,
they're
habit
going through,
stacking is the biggest thing
they're
from
going
taking
through
from the
Techstars,
book,
which
right?
is
Like
awesome.
I'll
Yeah,
often not have
he's
time to like
you know,
listen to
I talk to him
audio
weekly,
files or like
and
talks
I'm
and
just
stuff.
continually
And like everybody will be sending me
impressed
like
with
a couple talks
you know,
every week, right? Like
number
to
one how he's
watch.
doing, but
So like even
he's
just
got a
trying to keep
vision
up
on
on the
things.
stuff you guys
He's
want
really
me
got
to
a good
listen to
vision,
and watch is like
you
a
know,
bit
he's
bit
very
much for me.
realistic and
But I tend to go
he's
for an
he's
hour or
moving
two of
in some really
walks
good
every day or
directions.
two.
Yeah,
So it's
it'd
like
be
I just
interesting to see
listen
where
to
he
those
takes it
hour-long
through,
podcasts
through
while I
the
go for my
program,
hour-long
and
walk, right?
Yeah.
Habit stacking.
That is a good
Trying to do as much as you
and
can.
just what he gets out
good
of it,
time to do it.
and what he gets
Absolutely.
out of it relative to how his product
Okay, is this
evolves, how
gonna?
he goes
Okay, I think it
continues to go to
is.
market.
The
Been
other
around a
biggest thing
while.
being
The
to like
product's
just
been
put
around a
in
while.
and show
I
up a
would have
little
thought he
bit
would
and
have had
slowly
more
turns
revenue
into
at
a
this
real
point,
thing.
but that's not a
Like
bad thing.
Yeah, he's
Like
got
I'm
the problem
shocked
being
with
if our
when you
community all
look at
starts
the
to show up and
brands
work on
and like
AI
the
stuff at
logos, you're
6
like, holy
p.m.
shit, and you're looking at his
across the
revenue, like
board for
something's
2
not
to 3
matching up
years
here.
till we're all
Yeah.
wealthy, and then
And you
suddenly
know
we
what
have
his
partners.
stocks are
All our
as he
partners will be
figured out a way
bitching
to
like,
turn this
"You
into
guys
a
all work at dinner
SaaS
hour."
business.
They're like, "Yeah,
His
well, get
revenue
used to it.
very
That's the
lumpy
habit that
based
let
on
us
the
afford
activities
having
he's doing with
partners."
his clients.
Yeah,
And I
the
said, if you really want
well,
this to
you
be
know,
venture scale,
fucking,
you
you
have to
just
solve
program
for
them
that.
to
You
not
can't have
mind.
these
It'll be fine.
massive swings in revenue, and
You're
it's
good
going
to
to be
go.
really
No, I meant like
difficult
human
to investors. That
partners.
was my take.
Disgusting. Why
Like
would you even consider that?
disgusting.
It's good.
Yeah, Jax is like, fuck that. I am a robo purist. I want a
Absolutely.
waifu bot only.
13 weeks, and I've seen it a couple
Absolutely.
times, and
That's
I
awesome.
just
Okay,
they're
review the
like,
practice,
demo
start
day.
lab, follow
They're
the lab
having the
instructions
demo day
carefully.
fucking February in Minneapolis.
Okay.
Like,
Oh,
can you
okay.
think of a worse month of the year to do a demo
So
day?
I've
that
flown into
Well, you know
is
what?
pretty.
At the end of the day, it'd probably be easier to date a
the snow is
robo
like,
waifu
over
anyway
the
than a
windshield,
human
you're
girl.
driving
Hell
through
yeah.
it, and it's cold as hell.
Just the comparative, the
I
infinite
just don't know if I
experience
could
that a
bring myself to
robot
do
can
it.
have to
Like,
deal
to
with
go to
its own
Minneapolis in
psychology versus a
February? Are you
human.
kidding me?
Yeah,
Like,
no,
Like
aren't
the
you
fact
just
that
no question.
aren't you just asking
The
the
for
fact
fact
that I
trouble?
need to like do MDMA and like ketamine and just
Depends
talk
what
to
kind of
AI
trouble
every
you're
weekend to like
No, what I'm
do
saying is
social
like
rehearsal
other
to deal
things.
with
It's like,
various scenarios that I have trouble with, like
But
So we'll see.
relating
But
to the
so
modern
far it's been
world,
fun. I got
because I was raised
notes
to be
from a lot of
extremely
them.
religious.
You can
And
sell
like, don't
that.
believe in it, but
We just had the Mentor
Hmm?
Madness.
You could totally sell that.
So this is the
Like
I think
that.
this is
That's
oh yeah,
the
no, it's
free
definitely
time in the program.
it's a
So
use
it's a
case
lot
that
of
like
I
fun.
social
about for a
rehearsal.
while where
Yeah,
since
did
you
pay
can't
for that?
you can't make an actual AI therapist because of like HIPAA and legality and stuff, but you can make like a peer coach, and you can also make like autism support where
Well,
you
it
can
doesn't
have
even
the
have to be a. It doesn't even have to be a therapist. It just has to be a
Mhm.
social rehearsal bot
Yep.
that responds in various ways. Because like as somebody with a lot of therapy issues, like the one thing I picked up ironically, this was from fucking Altered Carbon, was a comment that sometimes the only way to deal with a sticking point in psychology is for a person to experience it so many times that they get bored with whatever's obsessing them because they
And I
finally
wanna see
dealt
for
with
me, top of
understanding it.
I get early access to these companies that might not be ready.
Go to the next
And it's like I was
together,
acting out scenarios
but
with
I'm
an
seeing
AI the other night while I was on AM, and it's like the AI just couldn't come up with any new scenarios across any part of the board, and I was just like,
Um,
yeah, I guess
that's
this is
really
kind of
the
like
value I
boring at this point.
Like, I'm
There's like
going in
nothing
Thursday in
new
Boston.
about this. I
There's
like
demo day
fully
in Boston
understand
this
it.
week. I'm going to Boston on Thursday. And I'm
That's
gonna
part of
spend
what like
3
started
hours
to
just
trigger my
doing
current
best
like
practices
shift, I
all the
think, too, in the last couple days.
Giving them feedback on their deck. What does this say to me?
Well,
as an
shifting is
investor?
usually good.
Basically, the managing director's like,
Yeah.
"Can you please come in and just beat the shit out of them for 2 or 3
Okay,
hours?
and then
so they get
type
ready for demo day
S3.
next week?"
Okay.
And I did this the last time I mentioned it.
Although
S3.
ironically, it won't be very long before
Because I'm
AI
too funny and
therapists
lightly
replace
do
human
you know,
therapists
but I'll
because
can with them like
people
that.
are going to
Don't
start
say that.
reporting
That's
back that
what this
their
says to
use
me.
of
Okay,
AI
so the
therapists is actually more
high-level view
effective
of
than
what
AI
next year
therapy.
give a
Also
No
because
shot.
like, and
And it's a lot of fun.
also because of
It
like
is
when you're in a
fun. I wanna
crisis
go to
and you like
Toronto,
call a
but before
crisis
I
line,
do that,
you just get like the most
I
basic
did wanna
person
touch
like
on
to talk to,
something
right?
Well,
like,
a crisis
They have a
line and a
little bit.
therapist are very different things, right?
Yeah, but that's the thing. When you're in crisis and you need a therapist, they're not available. Yet suddenly you can just literally spin up goddamn character AI and have a therapist that gives you better quality support than a crisis
Hey, how
line
you
can.
guys doing?
Unless the like
Steve, Scott.
person working on a crisis line is like a dedicated
I'm doing
psychological
great.
support person who's
Glad to
planned to
be here.
dedicate their like
So
entire life
currently,
to
right
like
now, I am working on a
psych stuff.
project called Astro Bucks
Like the kind
Coin.
of person that does like
It is
sanctuary for
a
psychedelic,
alternative to
you know,
Amazon
snaps at a
Shopify
rave
PayPal
as
and
their
Stripe.
volunteer job.
We're actually looking to go
Yeah,
outside exchanges, including
just from the
Bitcoin,
legal red
Crypto.com,
tape, it'll be. I think it'll be a while. Probably
and
one of
BitPay.
the later things to
We
go.
are doing a direct listing.
I don't think it'll
For
last that
Amazon,
long,
so
actually.
we're having a little
Hmm.
Like
trouble
the massive
validating
difference it makes once
our
people
business
using it
model a
is
little
the
bit.
question is like,
Only
when do
because
people start using
most
it on
people
their
are
own?
looking for pump and
Because
dumps and things of
once
that
people start
nature.
talking about it,
We're actually
it's
on
going to be one of the
on a
first things the
blockchain where
news
we're
starts picking up
doing
on,
a
being like,
hybrid
oh,
with
people are
Solana,
saying that the
actually also
horrible
an
AI
NFT
that
collection
steals everybody's
called
art and breaks
Astro
copyright laws is
SpaceX.
actually really helpful
Astro
for their
SpaceX
mental
is
health
going to
when
be
used in the right way.
37,000,
Well,
which is going to
I
be
mean,
3,000 a piece,
I
3 different collections.
I think let's see.
That we're going to actually
I think
mint
you guys will get it
on
long before we
JPEG
will,
Store in
because
Magic Eden, to kind of
a
raise some
like
capital. This is gonna
we
be
or like the USA does not
ASAP
give a fuck
for
about
like
mental
actually
health.
decent
The
amount of
and
Canada gives
funds in the
less fucks
community
about health
for
than
us
the
to be
US,
able
man.
to
Trust
kind
me.
of
You
use this
guys think your healthcare
as a
system is
community
bad?
building
Your
project
healthcare system's actually the
on like
best on the
actual
planet.
blockchain ecosystem.
I mean, if
And
you
the
can afford it,
Astro
yeah,
Bucks
it's
coin
amazing.
is basically a utility
Yeah, but the thing
for
is,
our mini
you
But
know that you
mall,
need
being
to
able to
afford it.
shop
The
and
thing
get
is, in
actual
Canada,
rewards
you were
and
lied to and you were told that you were had free
we
healthcare.
want to be able
But
to
it's
turn
more like,
real
oh,
fiat
you are sick?
into crypto,
Okay, well,
and
you
we
can
wanted
have
to
this
use that as the
150th
shopping experience
slot
on
in the
our
wait
mini mall
list.
and mega mall.
And if you're not dead in 6 to 9 years, then you can have free healthcare after everybody else has
I
gone
do
through the
have
line.
our
Whereas in America,
white
you're
paper
taught to
here.
expect off the top not to get help, so that you should be
Check that
planning to
out,
pay
and
for
then
your
I
shit
do
ahead
have
of
our
time, so that when you get sick, you either have cash in hand because you actually planned for it, or you're in the same situation as every other Canadian and you don't have money for healthcare. But at least you fucking tried to plan for it.
So we're
We
actually
don't
using
even
NFT,
have the awareness that we need to
December
plan
1st.
for it as our
We
system is
wanted to
being
try,
purposely
again, a different
dismantled.
route
So
because
it's just
we want
fucking
we
bullshit.
want them to buy
well,
the
yeah, I
NFTs
mean, I
and
would
give out the
hope
actual
that
coins for free. We believe that that's
that
going to incentivize people
because
to
like
actually
this
wanna
is
shop
basically the
on
the
our
Republican
actual
talking point, right?
platform.
Why they don't want to
And
give
so we're actually raising
public
the coin
healthcare
is listed at a fifth of a cent.
access, because they're
We've
like,
gotten
oh,
a
you
lot
know,
of
it'll
feedback saying
be
that's
like
a really
Canada
good
where you
price
have
to
to
list
wait
at. And we're only
3
listing 5
years if
billion
you want to get
tokens
anything done that isn't a broken
currently
leg.
out of 44 billion. And
So
we're
it sucks
just
that that's
looking
actually the
to
case.
basically use this as a way of
Yeah, well, the
raising
problem
funds.
is that it's the whole
Crypto.com
thing is a
wanted
scaling overpopulation
200,000, but
issue.
only has
Because
a
from the get-go, like,
basically like
our
a
society,
deposit,
instead of starting to
and you
make
actually get
plans
that
to
money
actually
back. And then I can
self-sustain
actually
into the
show you
future,
guys on
in
the
both
back end if you want.
Canada and
Talk about
America,
some of the
started to
things
import
that we've
temporary
done,
foreign labor,
just so you guys can get
right?
an idea of like
Like, oh, sure,
what
there
the
were always a
listings and
few
what they're saying.
Chinese and Korean, you know, quick markets here and there and this and that, but kind of took a different turn when they started to fill every job
Oh
that would have
god, is
been
this guy shilling
traditionally
a fucking
staffed by,
coin?
Okay.
yeah, they just took every job that would have been a teenager and they staffed them with like, you know, people from India. And they started a complete degradation of our society instead of actually building anything that lasts. So just
That's quite a spicy topic there.
Well, the thing is, like, I look at my doctor and I did the calculations
Yeah,
for the population area, I live in to the number of patients each doctor has, and each doctor has something like over 400 fucking patients.
Oh my
Like,
god, I
there's
just
a reason.
puked looking at this fucking landing page. Look at the number of fucking buzzwords on this shit.
Hang on,
Stablecoin,
I'm on my
e-commerce,
phone.
blockchain, marketplace, tokenization, physical, digital assets. I'm vomiting right now. I'm sorry, buddy. Like, you
Oh, I
tried.
can't see that screen. It's underneath the screen that you're displaying.
It's underneath this. Oh, is it? Let me take a look.
You got like an Amazon
Oh
something screen
yeah,
that you
yeah. I
display.
got the big one here. Let me put this one.
Oh, I sent you some music you should like. Also, that guy has a couple different genres he plays on his channel. That dude's amazing. He does really good stuff like Aimed Ahead, and he also does a really good retro wave style I like. And then he does two other like metal heavy styles that I don't really listen to.
A global e-commerce blockchain marketplace digital portal that will use a dual coin and token system.
Hang
These
on a
words
second.
mean nothing.
Does this person work with Dave Shapiro? Is there an acronym there made out of a bunch of letters after that?
Well, you know, there is an acronym actually. DAC. I don't know what the fuck that means. Decentralized Autonomous Community. Okay.
Oh God, this person might actually work with Dave Shapiro. Run.
You know, I mean,
Sorry, Dave just liked his.
at
Dave
least Dave's
really
got a
just liked his
GitHub, man.
stupid acronym.
I have no doubt that this guy's got. Oh, I wonder if we have a GPT generated white paper.
Sorry, I just have to make some Dave. I'm pretty much done on the Dave thing, but I got to make some Dave jokes because you actually roasted Dave harder than I did about starting a new server.
Well, you know, I mean, I'm not inordinately clowning on him. I'm just calling it like I see it. That's all.
Well, that's the thing. I've just been calling it like I see it too. Honestly, I wish everybody would have been a little bit more honest about the Dave situation at like the start of the summer. I figure we could have saved a few months there and like actually done something if everybody was willing to like admit how fucktarded the guy was instead of trying to like play it publicly very nice and apparently reaming him out and fucking the governance channel and not telling anybody else what they actually thought. Because I straight up told them, I'm like, this feels like a call to personality, you guys, and just nobody ever responded to me about it.
Well, I mean, you know, like it was pretty much. Like that's.
Except it wasn't because apparently even like as early as like July, start of July, everybody was pretty much pissed off and done with him for banning David Blockham or whatever. So yeah,
Well, you know, like
it's just the whole thing was stupid.
I guess yeah, like Origin versus what it ended up being like. You know, it started off a cargo cult and then didn't really kind of develop its own identity. I don't think in time. Because
Well, that's because it was like.
He's doing a different.
Well, the whole problem with that was like.
Here you go.
I'm breaking up or trying to finish.
No, I was
You broke up for a second. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
I was just gonna say it's because it was kind of always being stacked on top of the build community portion that he already had.
We have a secondary token called Astro Brand Coin, where we're actually in a Switzerland bank account,
and I think it wasn't necessarily
a business license, so we're kind of putting that on the back burner.
I like, you know, I don't think there's the build in any technical field. You're gonna have people who want to build stuff, right? So it's sort of like part and parcel. But like having been part of a like successful cargo cult that eventually spun off into its own identity after the original person left, it was just a matter of. What really was it a matter of? I think it was like a matter of like creating opportunities that wouldn't have otherwise existed by virtue of being there, and then having those actually materialize into real things and then get shared out, like having those things like be paid forward. Basically, I'm thinking about like the smart contract development community that I was originally part of. It also helped that like the cargo cult was basically just like a random dude rather than a known YouTuber.
I don't have a pitch deck
yet. Well, now Dave's kind of doing that with the Ace and the robot stuff and whatnot, right? Which is ironically exactly what I told him he should fucking do. It's like,
yeah,
so,
so I have a prototype.
Anyway,
for an
I'm glad we got you and
app,
Baco out
it
of the
blew
deal.
my mind away that I got it
Yeah,
working
you know,
as a proof of
I'm pretty
concept,
pleased with
this weekend.
what
The thing
you
is,
know,
I
the
don't
stuff
want
that
to
came out of
share
it.
it just yet until I get a
Even if
couple
it,
more
you know,
proof
if it
about
even
number
didn't save the
one,
world or anything,
people
but I
actually
wasn't
want to
really
use it, and
gunning
number
to do
two,
that,
that
so it's
a
all
couple
good
of
with
experts in
me.
the field are going to be in on board with this.
In the
I
general.
was never
Basically
convinced
what
we
that
needed to save
because
the world
app
to start
itself,
with, so.
Yeah,
if you
same.
gave somebody a well-resourced engineering team,
Create bucket?
probably 6 months, you could get an MVP out in the market in the next 6 months, but it could potentially be
oh wait,
really,
no.
really, really disruptive.
Buckets.
So I don't want to give that information out.
Oh
just
my
yet,
god, this
but
is
don't worry, I
another
will,
dude
after
that
I get the proof of concept up
my
and
idea
running.
is too good.
So
I have
what
to
I
hide
wanted
it.
to chat with you guys about, though,
Nobody
is,
cares, dude. Like,
so first
just
off,
say your idea.
outside of
No one
a
is
few
gonna steal it.
trusted
It's
people
fine.
and myself, nobody else knows that this thing exists yet.
Yeah, fuck, at
but
this point, I
need
basically
to
just want to
start
like
thinking
get
about,
my
'cause I
idea that I
actually am
put
thinking
up in
about
a
going into
project
this
plan
full bore.
yesterday, just like done
So
to the point
I
where it's
already
like
know that there's a market demand
semi-usable
for
as a
it, and
framework,
the very
and then put it
second
up
this
like
thing
the
hits the
Ace
app
thing, and then
stores,
be like,
people
here,
will
world,
install it
finish
just to
this
use it and
shit,
be like,
so
oh,
that like
whoa,
Joys of
holy
open
the
source,
crap,
robots
right?
just make
holy cow, look at all this information.
just be like,
I'm
no, but
learning
literally
about
be
this
like, I am
stuff.
open sourcing this because I
But
want you to
what I
all
wanted
make
to ask you
jobs
guys
go
about
away.
was,
Please finish the AGI.
with the proof of concept.
It's like I
So
could
number
try and make
one,
money
there's
off
no way you
this,
could
or
tell
I
if
could
I'm
just
over
we could just
underselling
try
because
and
I'm
end
not
all the
sharing anything
jobs
with you
faster,
yet.
everyone.
No reason you
But
can't do both.
which would be if you believe enough in the proof of
Oh,
concept,
well, yeah,
which
I
is
mean,
the
like,
wiser
I'm probably not going to
tack
publish
to
the
kind of
whole
go
system
forward with
because,
this?
like,
Do you want
I think there's
to
a lot of opportunity for,
show
like, this
do you
community
want
to come
generate a
together
user
and run
base for
something
your
like that
MVP
and
Well,
just, like,
to then
run it
go
like
to
a dwarf
investors and be like,
fortress
okay,
world?
look, here's the
Just do
thing,
the
it's
Obsidian
amazing,
thing
And,
where
like,
it
you
works, and we have the user
you
base to prove it?
publish
Or
all
does it make more
the
sense
code
to
and
kind of start going to
the
investors
info for the main
because the proof
product,
of
and then you have
concept
like
is
a little
that
side product
powerful
on the top
to say,
that's
look,
like a
this
cherry on
thing
top
could
that people
change
can.
a lot
That
of how
basically is
everybody
like a
uses
slight amount of
interacts with the internet
utility,
essentially going
but
forward here.
more
And
so just like a
and
place where people
the
can give
value
you
add speaks
money
for itself.
if they wanted to give you
Well, I
money
was
without
thinking
it being
I'm
doing
just
like
it
gonna
kind of
pay
like
pause
for it.
right there, and yeah, just
I was
kind of
thinking
like
kind of doing
try
it like
and
Dwarf
see
Fortress, where the
if
cherry on
what you guys are
top
thinking
is the
about that.
GUI.
Sure, yeah.
Where like you can use the software itself to like run the game in like text format if you want to, and like play it that way, like old school. If you're like truly old school, but like
Gotcha.
if you
Okay.
want like graphical user interface and all that shit updated and maintained all the time, like
Like
that's what
yeah,
you're actually paying for.
for instance, how Weaviate does it is
They
they have a hosted version, so you can go onto their website and use their cute little thing,
Got it.
and then you get your little free trial, and you got to pay X amount of dollars per your usage of their storage. But you can go down to the very bottom of their page and go to their GitHub, and then you can scroll down and find a self-host this. So if you're technical, you can self-host it for free. But if you are not technical, you can just purchase the service through them.
I'll be honest with you.
How they do it. And
The
I'm a
other
fan of
thing I
that
was
model.
thinking
I
of
prefer
doing
that.
was like the other thing I was thinking of doing with running a giant social simulacra world thing like this is then like selling NFTs for the
Honestly, you
agents
guys
in the
read my mind.
world,
That's exactly what I'm doing right now.
right?
What do
So you
you
can
mean?
actually like own a character, or like say Halo was like an actual generative world, right? And like say the master, say it's like the
Oh
end of
yeah, I
Halo
think I
3,
know
and
what you're
like
getting
everybody
at.
knows.
Taking world entities and then putting them on chain so people can like
Yeah,
trade
but
them.
like
That's what we were
yeah,
gonna do
but like
for
say
the
everybody knows that like
the universe thing.
say like everybody knows that the chief is like still asleep at the end of Master 3, right? So everybody, like although you can't play your characters, like you
No,
can like buy them
okay,
resources and stuff.
Yeah,
So
thanks for
people
that.
like
I
start to
really
organize
appreciate it. So
campaigns to
just
try and
add
like
a little bit more
locate the
context,
chief because they want to bring back the
I'm
chief,
happy
and like
that you guys
although
said
nobody
that
can
and read my
control him
mind
because
there
he's owned as like a corporate NFT,
usually I'm a
or
really
like try to
reserved
rescue
person,
like Obi-Wan
and
Kenobi
I
from a
don't
jail
branch
in Star
out on
Wars.
something
Like the
unless
events that would
unless
like
I see
kick off
absolutely no
around shit like
unless I
that
really, really
would be
believe
like
in the
just
potential
fucking
here. And
hilarious. I
yeah,
mean,
this one's
the
blowing my
amount of
mind.
shit
I've been
that
in tech
spiraled
for
out in
years,
Dwarf
right? We're
Fortress
not
from just
known
adding a rule for
for
cats to
branching
like
out and doing something
have
totally crazy.
booze
We're
get
more
on their
known for
paws as an example,
being
right?
the
Like
guys
when
behind
you
the
add
guns and
humans
shooting
into the
down
mix,
ideas, right?
and it get more
So
fucking insane and
starting from
interesting.
there. But yeah, where I was also going to go with that was
Object writer.
so I also have
public
some ins with a
access
couple of eggheads at the
settings.
university, and I know that. So
Okay.
okay, not to veer too much out in the weeds in the ivory tower here, but I know that they're going to be really interested in the potential here for mental health with a couple of other things. And
Oh,
I'm not
God.
joking. I mean, like
Potential
actual
here for
research
mental
into this.
health, eh?
So if I were to actually like get a buy-in from somebody at like say the Center for Mental Health or like or the what's I'm looking for here like at the psychiatry department at my local university, and they're saying no, this is big and this is helping with our research. Would it make sense to go to investors then as well, or should I just be going full cylinders? Build the user base, proof of concept.
Proof is better than less.
Oh, but I won't be
But I
able to hear
think
because I'm
users and
not
revenue
muting
is always
Chrome entirely. Okay, well,
always
whatever.
Okay.
always
I'll have to figure it out.
All right, awesome. Okay, so first up,
Also,
thank you guys
I've
so
heard some of
much
these
for
Aerobot chat
helping
sites
a
have made like over
humble
$100,000 in the last
fledgling
couple
like yours
months. So
truly. I
probably build
appreciate
one of
it. I
those.
don't
What
intend
do you
to
mean
waste
by
your time.
Aerobot?
And
Or like
hopefully the next
loot
time you see me,
RP-bot
it's
thing?
by the way, heads up, it's probably not going to be for at least
Yep,
a month
straight
or
up
two,
loot
but
RP
you'll
bots.
see
But
some
like,
amazing.
yeah, like because like I heard that like one of the better ones just got shut down because it was causing mental health problems.
guys.
To like kind of get around some of that
Thanks so much,
issues
everybody.
and like public perception, all you have to do is add in an extra round of chat in the turns. Or like at the end of like every roleplay scenario, the bot like acts as like a sexual therapist and like helps you break down what you just did and what it might mean about you and stuff, kind of like a dream interpreter, so that people can like actually like expand and grow and understand themselves. Because like if you grew up in like a scenario, for example, like I did, where you're basically raised to like grow up in like the 70s or the 80s by like your grandparents, so you're effectively growing up at like the same level of info as your parents versus the modern world, and you're like trying to understand like, all right, yeah, I was expected to like get married at like 30 and have kids, and now all the girls at 19 have OnlyFans and are selling images of their body. What the fuck happened to the planet? You know what I mean? Like trying to like comprehend that. Like if you grew up like really religious and didn't move away from the church at like 30, you'd be like brain fucked. But you like you still might want it, you still might role play it out, and then like having a bot to like help you understand like the differing worldviews could be massively fucking useful, I think. Like literally. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Well, you know, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I would go that route personally. Mostly because I think either people are going to ignore it, or they are going to, or you're going to open yourself up to liability when it starts hallucinating. And the other problem with I recently saw
Yeah,
a
but
thing on Twitter.
everything hallucinates. Everything fucking hallucinates. Even if you get info from a goddamn doctor, you still have to go home and double check it on Google.
Well, yeah, but like you're
Like
still
nothing.
You're still liable though, right? Like if somebody wants to sue you, they can.
I suppose. It's
Well,
like
yeah,
everything
maybe
in life is like
maybe it's
everything
not
in
as much of an
life is
issue
with a
in
disclaimer.
Canada, but with in
Just everything in life is literally with a disclaimer. Like, yeah, somebody was able to sue them once because they thought their cruise control was on autopilot, but somebody was only able to sue them for that once because they put a disclaimer after that. You know what I mean? Like, this bot is here to help you, understand yourself. This bot is not a licensed therapist, It may have inaccuracies, you take this with a grain of salt. It is only here to help you, self-reflect. It is not end all be all, but it's probably better than your Aunt Terry in the 60s who didn't ever actually read an encyclopedia and was just passing on second and third hand information.
Certainly could be. Yeah, I don't know. Like the risk reward isn't there for me. IMO. It could be interesting though. Like it'd be a cool little thing.
Also, the chances of, being sued by a bunch of degenerates that are, using a porn bot to yiff are like a lot more minor.
It's actually
in the first place,
it's actually more likely because as a or at least it again maybe a USA thing. Like one of the major obstacles with making services like that is payment processors will not touch you. So like the actual part of building a service like that is not is like pretty
Yeah, that's why
easy.
you can't officially.
But
That's why you can't bill it at the top level as a ends not safe for work service, and you just kind of have to like nest it in there.
Nah, they like
You make
Visa and Visa and MasterCard will like hunt you down if you are trying to get payment, or if you have been processing payments for a not safe for work activity and you didn't let them know, they will like sue you for all of your money. So you need to find a payment processor that specifically processes high risk payments, because everything not safe for work is for some reason classed as a high risk payment. And they are all dog shit, and no users want to use them. So
it's because all the money stuff is still old by the money stuff is still old by a bunch of bigoted old men that want to be perverts and hire old women or hire young women for themselves, but not let anyone else do sex for some fucking reason.
Well, yeah,
It's
I
like,
mean, it's more. It's
honestly,
like
you know what my just sorry, just a joke, but also a possible real pointer is like, I think half the reason Republicans just fucking hate the youth is because all the Republicans grew up without birth control.
sure. Group of it. Well,
So I think there's just like this jealousy that they can't, hit it as good as they used to when they were younger, now that birth control's around. So they're just like super fucking jealous at young people being like, sure, you got AIDS, but you got birth control instead. So it's like, fuck you.
Scroll down to default encryption. Got it. Well, yeah,
And
I think it's just a
I say that
product
partly
of-
as a joke.
Well, yeah, there's something to it.
I'm sure that's one of just many like dozens of layers that are in there somewhere as to why that whole generation is just like so bigoted about sex.
pretty much, or like it's just sort of a holdover of like American culture. Like we're just prudes. That's just how we are. And like a lot of the institutions are like foundationally built on some of those like moral principles that aren't as relevant these days. And then because of the infrastructure being building money, so like even they might, or like the individual people like might know, they might like everybody might be like, yeah, it's fine to process this stuff, but Visa and MasterCard are like, no, like this is keeping you out of the market, and we want to keep you out of the market. So it's like these weird little like perverse incentive kind of situations, but like the actual like building not safe for work products and services and whatever is it's as easy as it is to build any other technical solution, but the actual problem with it and why it's so hard to provide any like services like that is it's almost impossible to allow people to pay you. Like currently,
Oh yeah, but
it's
the
also
thing is,
impossible
the
to
thing
pay your
is, like,
employees too.
the thing is, if you run a not safe for work chat service and like you make $100,000 before they're like, yeah, you know what, we don't want to process your payments anymore because we decided it's not something we want to do. Like you're still up $100,000.
Well, you're
Which
$100,000 in revenue, not profit. So you might have spent more than $100,000 to get everything set up. And
I don't think it would cost more than $100,000 to set up a not safe for work chatbot.
It could. It depends on how popular it is. Because like the amount of the amount of load you might put on the cloud services you're using to run inference, or the amount of like payments that you had to make to OpenAI to make it work, might.
Well, you wouldn't use OpenAI. Period. You can't use OpenAI for that.
Yeah,
OpenAI can detect.
Well, the big ones
you can for a little bit, but the thing is, like,
So
no,
far.
they don't, because like anybody who uses OpenAI for not safe for work stuff, like their API, even for small amounts of stuff, gets canceled.
Yep.
Like I've read multiple reports, because like OpenAI can tell what you're querying the fucking shit in and out for.
Yeah,
and they will shut it down. Like what you could do is like grab a bunch of fucking like prepaid credit cards and make a bunch of accounts and like create a bunch of. You could create a bunch of high quality synthetic data to train fine tune like a Mistral on ChatGPT style, because it does still have the best long term context for anything. Like even if you're just doing normal role play, like Chat GPT is the least likely in like a non-Arrow ICQ world to just be like, I have wings and I beat the final boss with my magic super eye lasers that you never gave me. Like Chat GPT's secret sauce is fucking in context learning. No other system is as good as it. So
Yeah, well, yeah,
but yeah.
like, yeah, eventually you do want to build your own data set and train your own models and stuff, but like in having looked into it a little bit, most of them actually do just use like jailbroken 3.5 or 4 that is running off of like a zillion dummy accounts.
You know what I would
Because
do though if
there's,
I
yeah,
was
it's
gonna like
difficult.
sell an actual if I was gonna sell an actual not safe for work product just because of the payment processing issues, what I would do would be to build like a generative world that doesn't have a language model pre-hooked up to it that you can put one into because it's like a software set, you know what I mean? Like you set up a local model, and what you do is you buy it through like an account on like not on OnlyFans or something that unfortunately takes a little bit of the cut, but pays gets the payment process that kind of stuff anyway. And you just sell people the software and then you let them hook it up to a language model that they download on their own from open source.
Yeah, well, the problem with that, you can do that, and that's viable, but the problem is there is like then you're competing with Silly Tavern and anybody that wants to like it's very difficult to build
No, you're
a
not.
better
No, you're not at
product than
all.
Silly
Because
Tavern.
that's like saying that like when you write a book as an author, you're competing with like every other author. You're not. You're just an author at that point. Because it's like there are so many games. Like if you go punch in, like this is what gave me the idea in the first place. Because I was just bored as fuck during the fucking pandemic and just going through all kinds of different content because there's like not enough shows coming out. And I was like, got into this fucking hentai manga Daoshun thing out of this random shit that came up through all the shit I was going through. It was called Harem Hotel, I think it was something like that.
Hell yeah.
And it's actually like a really well written like manga style renpai visual novel. And
Oh
if
yeah,
you
dude.
look, the guy
Some
who's
of
writing
those
it,
are pretty good. Yeah.
but the guy who's writing that, he's making over like 100,000 like per year or whatever, like from his Patreon, right? And so the thing is, it's like you write it like that. You don't make it like a software product. You make it like a pre-styled world that people want to explore. That you've set up enough of the core pattern that if they want to go beyond what you've written or as you're writing, their world can like still be more or less in touch with the like main ideas as it generates out from it.
Well,
And they
like,
just plug in the language model
well, I mean, like for instance,
because you can't.
if that guy is on Patreon, he's gonna get kicked off as soon as he has to move to Subscribestar, which is a high risk
He's
payment
been on
processor.
Patreon for. Been on Patreon for years and had no issues.
When was the last time you checked in on him? Because everybody has been having issues these past like 2 years.
I've looked pretty recently and he was still on there.
Surprising. Well, yeah, because having when in doing the research to like when I originally got that contract to build the Not Safe for Work bot, a lot of like really like embedded games, adult services, whatever. A lot of them got their Patreon shut down and they weren't prepared for it. So like they had maintenance costs and employees to pay and stuff, and then one of their primary revenue source just got like instantly annihilated overnight. Like and now they have to throw up the infra and get people to use it. And I just saw somebody on Twitter the other day who was like, "Hey, I made a Not Safe for Work chatbot, and I made $100,000 over the course of 3 or 4 months." And I just had to shut it down today because Stripe banned my account because of the high risk payment processor thing. So now I have to go find alternatives, and like even the biggest players in the game haven't solved this problem. Like Pornhub has to what do they have to do? I was looking into it the other day. They can't accept if you want to buy Pornhub Premium, you have to either pay them in crypto or perform an ACH transfer. And I suspect what they're doing is using that ACH transfer to purchase crypto that they can then move. So it's like this
Yeah,
payment process.
if you do the math on the picture I just sent you, based on the number of subscribers that he's got on Patreon, just if they're paying $2 alone, he is making 114,000 American.
Yeah, sure. Checks out to me.
And that's so like that's what I mean, right? Because the thing is, you can't necessarily like make up because of the licensing issues around various language models. You can't easily make a language model product and sell it, right? You can make a software that hooks into anyone, and then you could sell it that way through just OnlyFans, right? And or something like that. And it'd be a loftier cut a little bit, but like if it's just something you're just like writing for the shits and giggles fun of it anyway, like kind of like a semi-fun like comic world where you're just like not excluding the lewd shit like everybody else because you're writing it as an adult world and you're not like overly focusing on the lewd stuff, but it's there anyway too. And just writing it as you go along, I think it could be just really fucking fun as a world builder and like an author and a writer as a way to sell shit.
Yeah, I mean it is cool, but the problem, it runs into the problem of the selling shit part, where
Like I said,
once you're too close to that,
just use OnlyFans or something.
well, yeah,
Or
but
just
then
specifically sell it as like
you have to
an
have
18-hour game.
so the issue with using high risk payment processors is that customers, when they are purchasing something, they just want to click their Google Pay and go through. So the problem wasn't that now I can't get paid. The problem is, well, I found a way to get paid, but the conversions that I was making are down by 80%. Because nobody wants to click out and sign up with their email to this thing that's like a lewd thing or whatever. And that was the least friction he could do after exploring the available options. And like this guy, if he's on Patreon, he's making 100 grand a month or whatever. But Patreon at any time, as soon as they notice that that's lewd, could just shut that off, and there's nothing he could do.
Oh, for sure.
Which
But then, like, the only other problem is that, like, technically, you can sell lewd games on fucking Steam now. It's use Steam as a payment processor, no fucking problem. But the other problem right now is that Steam is all no AI.
yeah, I wonder how Steam dodges the payment processor thing. Are they like their own payment processor?
Because they move fucking billions.
Well, Pornhub moves billions.
Do you think? Yeah, but they move porn billions only. Like Steam moves billions of legit money. Do you think Visa or MasterCard or anybody even has a single pinky toe to balance on when they try and go, Steam, can you not sell lewd games? We don't like that. And Gabe is like, yeah, no, I actually just added another 15 foot to my endless buffet table. So we're gonna sell more lewd games because you asked them to add another 15 feet.
Actually, I want to look into this.
Like you do, sorry, you do know the Gabe do all like buffet table joke?
Off the top of my head,
because Gabe's a big fat dude, right? So there's like an old like joke that like Gabe like created Steam to be so efficient and such a good distribution service so that he could just like be a rich guy in a mansion with a buffet table that like never runs out of food because he like has a kitchen and a like staff team that he can like always have it serviced by, just like having your own perfect private buffet eating hall. So it's like an old joke. It's like way back in the day, Gabe was like, the only reason there's a piracy problem is if there's a distribution problem. So I'm just going to make a perfect distribution service so nobody else needs to make one again.
And it worked.
Oh, and it worked so good that like gamers didn't even want to use Steam or Epic Store when it came out because they were like, we actually don't want to decentralize our service and like create competition like with streaming and have our games in multiple places and our save games scattered and whatnot. Or have the risk of even having Steam fail because we'll lose all the games we already own.
Yeah, I'm very interested in this. Direct product submission fee. Maybe
Also,
Bard could
the
get
other
crypto
option is to
wheels.
just build the game without the lewd content officially in it, and just unofficially release all of the lewd content as a mod that happens to install very, very easily from a, like a 4chan leaker, basically. Hey guys, look, this file exists that coincidentally turns this very, very R-rated violent game into an even more R-rated game. Who'd have thought that would happen? Not the payment processors, because it's a mod. Like, I think the lewdest game on Earth is probably Skyrim.
Probably. I still need to fucking grab that mod. It looks so fucking cool.
Yeah, I should actually be fucking around with the Skyrim mod. Oh,
You should grab
you know what the worst thing that's happened?
I forget
Oh, yeah?
Helios or Helix or something. It starts with an H, I'm pretty sure. So it basically turns it into like a
There's
hybrid of
so
like
much shit.
Sekiro and Tekken and fucking shit like that. It's pretty fucking dope.
Crazy. There's so much I gotta do, and it's like I just don't have quite enough space or quite enough money. I really wish I
know
was
the
able to get a
feeling.
job at the gas station, but some young chicks got the job like right before I applied.
Yeah, I asked the monk people for money again today. We were supposed to meet today, but then we didn't. Because they were like, hey,
Well,
we
it's like I
want
don't
you to
need a
run
lot of money,
demos.
but it's like if I could make an extra $1,000 a month, I could buy the extra bits of equipment I need to do more stuff
Exactly.
and actually have a full life. Like buy a bike and buy some VR equipment and like send my wife's extra shit back and like not have to worry about the fact that like I also might have to serve her because she's just not answering letters. And
Yeah,
it's
I just
like
don't know what, because
I'm just the
I don't want to like underbid myself on, because like in theory, my burn rate is pretty low. It's only like 1 or 2 grand a month, but for like the work that I am doing, I don't know. Like I feel like the work that I would be doing is more valuable than saying like, hey, give me $1,000 a month and we'll call it a day. Um, so I don't want to like underbid myself, but it's also hard to like price the stuff that I am trying to like offer to anybody that might pay me money. So it's kind of a weird thing to try and figure out.
yeah, for sure.
Where is maybe module content stuff things comes to mind. Let's see. Age verification is an ESRB. Say it again. The company has an internal list. Okay. Lack thereof. About 18 plus patches. We have a censored version for sale. But there are like straight up lewd games on Steam. I wonder if they have a
Being just like, what the fuck when they put those on Steam, man. I was like,
right?
how? What?
I clicked the like at some point I clicked the like show all games thing or whatever, and I didn't know it was turning off the porn games filter. Definitely got some interesting recommendations after that.
Well, you know the funny part is like half those games that are for sale are also available for free
Oh yeah,
from
more
when
than
they were in
half, I'm sure.
development because they're like just Renpai novels, a lot of them.
No policy. Welp. Let's see. View community hub. Doesn't seem to be finding Steam reps. They no longer allow. Oh, I see. Okay, so they tightened up on that. But I still don't understand. What if I can? Okay, I want to sell my Not Safe for Work game on Steam. Do I need to use an alternate payment processor? About selling adult games on Steam. Okay. Okay.
Rock's got some cheap shit right now. Shit. God damn, Deep Rock is selling like all of their DLC for like fucking 57% off.
Hell yeah. Good shit.
Well, the cool thing is like all of DLC's cosmetics are like their DLC is all just cosmetics, right? Because like the way they do DLC is there's like nothing to buy that affects the game because they don't want the game to have like the Warframe feature creep.
Sure, yeah. Must direct pay.
Although I'd be better off just buying you a copy of the game so I have somebody fresh to play it with.
I would play it. I do believe.
I might. We'll see where I'm at the end of the month because it's going to be my gaming month at the end of the month anyway.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I will probably be compulsively playing Dark and Darker still, so.
I have no family for Christmas because one side's Jehovah's Witness and I don't hang out with the other side of my family because my mom was like the black sheep. So
Sure.
I game during Christmas.
Hell yeah. Gang shit. Catch and
And like the cool thing about Deep Rock is that like you don't actually even need friends to play it. Like I still could just like rock into like the Discord for like a month and just like make a bunch of friends for the month in the Discord that I end up like liking their playstyles with and then never seeing them again. That's like one of the things I love about it. Is there's none of this extra needed shit for a clan or anything.
let's see. Huh. Steam is one. Steam is one such route.
Although I kind of want to
Itch
also get like back
knows.
into Space Station 13.
Yeah.
It's like
that's fun
I'm an
stuff.
old Space Station 13 player. I got like 400 hours on Goon Station.
Gang gang. It's good shit.
Yeah, I'm a security officer. It's pretty funny because like you play long enough, and like if you're a really good security officer when you come back, like we have this term called being robust because there's like this really complicated like fighting button mashing system built into it, combined with the lag makes it really challenging.
Sure.
And like if you're really good at doing security, people will think you're good at fighting. And it's funny because you'll start out really robust and then people will stop trying to fight you after a while and run away from you. And you actually start getting worse at fighting.
Let's see. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm not
It
sure.
would also be really fun to use. Oh, go ahead.
I'm in looking in it, like, it looks like Itch is saying, we might ban you if you're adult. Looks like,
Yeah, Itch stopped payment processing at the same time as everybody else for adult stuff this year.
yeah, it's fucked, man.
Itch was the go-to for everybody.
Yep.
That's why right now I would probably just do it through Patreon anyway, or not Patreon, like just OnlyFans or like I said. But the only problem with Steam right now is technically, as far as I know, is the AI side because I think it's just well, you just looked into it. So what did you learn about Steam?
I'm trying to figure out how they can process that, like, because they let you
Like I
pay
said,
with Visa or Mastercard. Um,
I'm thinking it's probably just because they're already so big with all their other products that, as far as Visa and Mastercard are concerned, that it's just one more thing that they do instead of it being that annoying only thing that they do. That's very hard for them to be like, yes, stockholders, this company only does this, and yeah, so it looks bad, I know. So we're gonna get rid of them, right? Whereas like Steam, it's like, yeah, shareholders, well, they've decided to do a little bit of that annoying thing, but they bring in billions of real revenue, so whatever.
terms of service, let's see, not safe. NSFW. Nope. Grant of license changes. Actually, HARPA. Page. Is there anything on this TOS that the town's content is handled? Okay, what is this? Is this Steam's actual TOS? I'm pretty sure. Exchange for rec tokens? What are those? Steamworks Partner Program? Da, 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 da. Freaking, let's see. Let me see if I have a thingamabob. Let's go to Twitch. Actually, we go here's where we go. Very nice, very nice. Alrighty, well, I think I'm going to take off for the night, but I appreciate you coming by for the moral support of my hangout in VC while I'm streaming, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's our community, right? We gotta
Right.
slowly stick by it and grow it.
There we go. Alright, take
Step
it
by
easy, buddy.
step, day by day.
You too.
Yeah, have a good one.
Later.